I ate these exact 5 meals to get to 15% body fat and stay there. I also ate the same meals to get to 6 and 8% body fat. And there's nothing magical about these foods in isolation, but the meals made sure I was full and prevented me from overeating. My name is Adam. I have a master's in performance nutrition and I've helped dozens of men get to 15% body fat and stay there. So I'm going to go over my 5 meals, why I chose these meals, and the science behind why you should choose 5 meals. I remember a time where I used to avoid grains, eat low carb, eat carnivore, avoid fiber, and skip breakfast, and even went vegan for a period of time. And at one point, I was cooking elaborate meals and spending hours on meal prep. None of these worked for me in the long run. Now I'm rotating 5 foods that are optimized for satiety and nutrients and time, of course. I eat all foods and it's pretty much on autopilot. I have 2 breakfast options on rotation. My first breakfast is overnight oats. You can make them 2 ways, either with protein powder or just extra yogurt. These days I'm going for extra yogurt and a tiny bit of honey because I'm finding this a lot more filling. It's also getting me just under 70 grams of protein and over 10 grams of fiber. It's also packed full of micronutrients because of the blueberries. I prepare it the night before and it's ready for me in the morning. It's so simple. And my second breakfast is also simple, and I make this on weekends. Low-fat cottage cheese on a base, then black beans or whatever beans you fancy, cooked with onions, a teaspoon of olive oil, and some taco seasoning mixed in. Then I slice 3 boiled eggs on top. And on top of that, you can either put hot sauce, kimchi, or tagine. That's on top of the eggs, like on screen. If you hate cottage cheese, which some people do, use some low-fat Greek yogurt instead. Now, for lunch, I usually have the exact same thing on repeat. It's so simple and extremely filling. Low-fat minced beef, like 95% fat-free, cooked in taco seasoning. Yes, taco seasoning again. I add in some green beans, then a cooked pepper or another vegetable, but I target at least 2 vegetables and a lot of them. 200 grams of green beans. I cook that while reheating my sweet potato or potato, and I've boiled about 3 days worth on a Sunday or Monday morning. Then I can just reheat them in the pan or an air fryer. Once it's cooked, I top it with yogurt, parmesan, or feta cheese. Then hot sauce, or again, tagine. My dinner is where I get a bit more variation, if you want to say that. I'll either have chicken with veg in a pan alongside rice and beans. I cook the chicken in soy, garlic, spring onion, and ginger. Then I usually top it with sriracha, kimchi, or a teaspoon of some seaweed. Sometimes I'll cook like a pasta with a lot of butternut squash, chicken, and spinach, or a pepper, maybe even a courgette. I'll rotate the pepper depending on whether I've had a pepper for lunch. If I'm dieting down hard, I'll switch out the normal pasta for lentil or some other bean pasta instead. So this is more fiber and going to be more filling too. And that makes up around 80 to 90% of the time. And then 1 to 2 times a week, we get takeaway or we go out to eat. And in those situations, I order whatever, but I confine it to a main and a starter. But I adjust my breakfast on those days to have half the amount of oats if I'm having the overnight oats. And I remove the sweet potato from lunch, then add in maybe some cauliflower rice or courgette in place. So I'm still full. I'm not going to dinner starving. I do the same if I want to squeeze in a pastry. And if I'm dieting down, I track absolutely everything. But now I'm maintaining my body weight around 15% body fat, and I haven't tracked since September 2025. So that's like 7 months now. Yes, there is a world where you don't have to track everything, or maybe even not track at all. And you may be saying, I could never do that. So let me tell you about a guy I used to work with called Dan. Dan was always lean. He wasn't obsessed with training, he wasn't avoiding specific foods, and he wasn't batch cooking 12 containers on a Sunday, just consistently the same year after year. For a long time, I just assumed it was genetics or some form of discipline I just wasn't seeing. But then I started paying closer attention to what he actually did. His breakfast was almost always the same thing every morning. His lunch was pretty much the same thing. It was very predictable. It was the same in terms of structure. And when a group of us would order into the shared office space, or maybe go out for dinner, he never spent much time deciding. There wasn't some kind of internal debate. No, I've been good this week calculation. He just enjoyed it like everyone else did. But he also knew when to stop. And I should say this as well, he did eat really slowly. He chewed every mouthful. And he wasn't relying on willpower to stay lean, that is. He'd remove situations that required it. So here's what makes a significant difference for you. Research on eating behavior suggests people make somewhere around 200 food decisions per day. And most of them happen without you even realizing it. So what to have, how much to have, whether this fits the plan and whether today was bad enough to justify this or good enough to justify this, every one of those decisions costs something. And by Thursday evening, it could come even before then, you're tired and there's food in the house. The budget is gone for no other reason than there's just nothing left. What Dan had and what meal rotation gives you is fewer decisions to make. You choose your meals already, so when 7 p.m. arrives, there's nothing to decide. Okay, so there's a principle in eating behavior research called sensory specific satiety. The short version is the more you eat of one food, the less appealing it becomes. Your brain registers the taste and texture and gradually reduces the drive to keep going. But if something new arrives, let's say different flavor or different texture, the process resets. This is why a buffet is a problem even when you're not hungry. And the research on this is consistent. When people are given variety in a meal, they eat roughly a third more than when they're given the same food. And that does add up in terms of times I can think of, and probably times you can think of too. So let's say 4 different sandwich fillings versus 1. Even though the same calories are available, significantly more will be consumed when the options vary. The variety doesn't just make eating more enjoyable. It overrides a signal that tells you you've had enough. And this is partly why ultra-processed foods cause overeating in ways that have nothing to do with willpower. In controlled conditions, people spontaneously ate around 500 more calories a day on ultra-processed foods when compared to unprocessed food, even when the macronutrients available were identical. They weren't hungrier, but the food just kept the switch from working. And my meals aren't engineered to do anything. Well, to keep you full, but they're flavorful enough to want, but predictable enough to actually stop. And when my client David came to me, we figured this out for him. He said he didn't want to make decisions on food. So he put together 5 meals he liked and we rotated them. When one got boring, he switched it out. There's no complicated system here or no trialing multiple diets. Having this simple approach to nutrition allowed him to build frameworks. And you probably guessed the meals I showed you are not just random. Everyone is built around protein, fiber, and something that makes it worth eating tomorrow. Protein is probably the most important lever you have for staying lean. It reduces hunger, helps preserve muscle in a deficit, and keeps you fuller until the next meal. The research points to roughly 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of your body weight as the target. You can go on the higher end when you're cutting or closer to the lower end when you're maintaining. My breakfast alone gets me close to 70 grams. That's a significant chunk of my daily target before anything else has happened. And fiber does something different. It slows digestion, physically fills the stomach, like takes up more space, and keeps hunger quiet between meals. The research shows the increase in fiber by around like 14 grams a day leads to roughly 10% less calories consumed. My overnight oats have 10 grams, well, over 10 grams of fiber. My lunch adds green beans and sweet potato to top that. This gives me around 15 grams. And potatoes, specifically boiled or baked, they are one of the most satiating, if not the most satiating food per calorie ever studied. Significantly more filling than rice, bread, or pasta at the same calorie load. I've had lunches built around potatoes or sweet potatoes for 3 years, and since then I'm never hungry at 3 p.m. Now the micronutrients obviously matter too for reasons that don't show up on the scale. The blueberries in the oats, the green beans at lunch, the kimchi. This isn't decoration. This is more vitamins and minerals, and vitamin and mineral deficiencies affect your energy, recovery, and your mood, all of which affect whether you'll actually stay consistent week after week. Getting them in automatically without thinking about it is part of the reason this holds up long term. And then there's the practical side. None of these meals take more than 20 minutes. The oats are done the night before. The lunch is put together in around 15 minutes because I batch cook the potatoes. The dinner, the chicken dinner, whichever it is, takes maybe 15 to 20 minutes max, providing the rice is already on. Then eating just becomes frictionless when you do this. And that's where you need to be. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Travel is the hardest situation for any nutrition plan. And it's not because your plan just breaks, but because your environment breaks and you think it's your willpower. You can't prep your meals. You're eating at airports, service stations, hotels, restaurants, wherever you end up. In those situations, I do two things. First, I default to portable protein combos, but I do a bit of research based on what's around me. So let's say supermarkets, petrol stations, whatever, Greek yogurt, some beef jerky that you might have pre-packed, and a piece of fruit or 2 pieces of fruit. That's my meal. It has protein and it has fiber. And you can find it in most places if you know what you're looking for. Sure, it's not exactly exciting, which, as you've probably learned, is the point. Second, and this is, I would say, a unique one, but it's becoming more common. When you're eating out, go for the lower carb to no carb option. I usually almost always do this if there's, well, in the day and if there's nothing exciting. And not because carbs are the problem. You already know my view on carbs. But when you're eating food you didn't prepare, you can't see the fat, the oil on the grill, the butter on the vegetables, the dressing that may be already mixed in or the sauce. You have no idea how much is there, and there's no way to remove it. And the research on this is pretty uncomfortable, but people underestimate the calories in restaurant meals by hundreds. In some studies, over 600 calories. And the error comes almost entirely from fat they didn't account for. What you can see and remove is the carbohydrate, the bread basket, pasta under the chicken, or even the potatoes on the side. I never thought I'd tell you to remove potatoes. The bun on the burger. You can see it, estimate it, and leave it on the plate. I save my carbs. It doesn't mean I eat completely no carbs while traveling, but it does mean I save my carbs for the meals that matter, not the quick ones on the go, when there are more options available. So for the most part, that's what I do when I'm away. Order the protein, order the vegetables, and for the most part, skip the visible starch. Except that the cooking added the fat and I can't control it and I move on. You're not going to eat perfectly when you travel. The goal is to stay close enough that getting back on track takes one meal, one day, not 1 week. So I want you to go away, pick 5 meals you like. You have to like them. Build them around protein and fiber. Now eat those on rotation until it stops feeling like a decision. And then when one gets boring, switch one out. It makes food shopping easy, and dieting is now significantly easier. And if you enjoyed this, hit subscribe and watch this one next. I'll see you there.